I guess I don't know how to really start this because I don't know. We're both hosts, so this is pretty good. So happy Sunday morning to everybody here. Randy Zellea, Jared Zero, backsportspage.com. Like I said, we've sort of going back and forth on who was hosting the thing, but we just figured we'd do a little Sunday morning sports wake up call, interview each other, talk thing. In fact, I think this is the first time in the year that you've been with us that you've actually been on the air with me.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I mean, we've been in so many meetings; it's hard to separate those from what's actually live. But I think this is the first live show we've done together.
This is a hysterical moment in the face of the universe right here. This is like from like the movie Ghostbusters, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. It's happening. It's two worlds colliding, and that's a good thing. You know what? We're all expanding our horizons. So happy Sunday morning, everybody. 9:05 in the East Coast, 6:05 Pacific time, 8:05 Central time, something like that in Mountain time. I don't know. And look. So there's a lot of different moving parts of what's going on right now, both in the world of sports and everything. And first off, good morning, Jared.
Good morning, Randy.
Okay, so as you see, this was a very impromptu type of thing. We talked about it last night. You can check out the Trifecta, which is hosted by Jared Zero. Jared Zero is also a co-host on the Zero Technique podcast with Ryan Stern, and that's every Wednesday night. It's getting you ready for the NFL season. I'm, of course, on Off Topic, which will be returning this week, the Hardwood Huddle with Bill Ingram, which will be this Tuesday morning with our special guest Shane Battier. That'll be pretty cool. So that's going to be going on around Tuesday around 11:15. And of course, I'm on the Deep Six Wrestling podcast, talking Dynamite every Thursday night around 10 o'clock at night. So check that out for all the shamelessly plugging podcasts that we're both on. I think that's the best way of promoting ourselves, get that DIY out there as best as we can. So that's pretty cool. So, okay. So Jared, you're up in Boston.
Yep.
And I'm out here in New York. So automatically we're rivals. It's like,
right.
You're the Boston guy. I'm the New York guy.
Yeah. We got to tussle, bro.
Yeah. Let's do it. Where to start? I think the best way to start is, should we start with chaos in sports and then go into like the level side of it? Or do you want to go to the level side and work into the chaos?
I mean, I think going from level to chaos might be easier because there's so much more chaos going on right now than anything else.
Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's go to the NBA first, because the NBA found a way to do it right yesterday, or they've been doing it right since this pandemic has started. We have basketball, which is very, very exciting. We have sports again, which is really, really exciting. I think that's the best part of saying it. It's the first time in a long time where we're going to do like a recap type of show of what's been going on in the world of sports. And a lot of the news that I'm going off right now is courtesy of ESPN.com. Let's go over the scoreboard real quick. The Celtics were off last night, so there was nothing for you to celebrate or cry about, which is a good thing. So the Clippers, the day started off in the NBA with a 122-117 Clipper win over the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers have been one of the hottest teams since the bubble play has started, and the Clippers sat Patrick Beverley, they sat Kawhi Leonard, and it was not much of an issue. Like I said, a 122-117 win led by Paul George's 21 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists. Portland led by CJ McCollum's 29 points, 4 boards, 8 assists. I watched this game, watched the tail end of this game, and Jared, got to tell you, when CJ McCollum is putting in 29 points and you're down 3 points and have an opportunity to tie the game, I think I don't want the ball in Damian Lillard's hands, even though he's not a bad guy to have the ball in his hands with. I think I want the ball in CJ's hands.
I couldn't agree more. And for people who know me, for people who I talk basketball with, they know how much I love Dame. They know how much I think he is incredibly underrated. I really think Damian Lillard needs to be valued at a higher level, but I don't disagree. I mean, it's like with any sport and any person, any particular athlete. If somebody is hot, you trust them to do what you need them to do.
Yeah. No, listen, here's the thing. I'm a basketball enthusiast. I'm an NBA junkie. Lillard's stat line yesterday was not one of something we should be going crazy about. And when I tell you right now, when CJ McCollum, again, 29 points, and he's doing CJ McCollum things, if that is such a thing to say. He's,
It sounds about right.
yeah, he's being CJ. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way you have to put it. Look, Lillard was 10 of 23 from the field. McCollum was 11 of 21. Actually, the guy who probably should have taken the shot was Carmelo Anthony. 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 7 boards, 21 points. Nurkic was abysmal, almost with a triple double. But when I say abysmal, 3 of 8 shooting. Nurkic again back from injury since the bubble play started. But listen to this stat line: 10 points, 13 boards, 9 assists. Hey, and guess what? That's your starting center. I like Portland. I think they're going to make it in. I think they're going to overtake Memphis. And if they do make it in, I think the Lakers have to watch out because of the lack of guard play that the Lakers do have. I've been saying this. And from the Clippers side of it, Jared, I think you have to look at it as like no Kawhi, no Patrick Beverly, no problem. You have Paul George, you have Morris, who's played very, very well for them. They're more just let's get playoff play started. We'll get everybody going. Load management in effect in the bubble.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that from a lot of teams. You're seeing that with, like you said, the Clippers. You're seeing it with the Bucks and resting Giannis for extended periods of time. And so I think a lot of these teams that are at the top of the kind of the seeding, you're seeing a lot more of that load management because they want to save their best players for the playoff come crunch time. And so I think you're going to see a lot of those 6, 7, and 8 seed teams. They're going to be going their hardest. And so if they, because they want to get that spot, they don't want to get overcome by someone below them. And having that, you're gonna play your hardest. You're gonna play your stars, and that's honestly, in my opinion, while it could be a beneficial factor, you get hot with all your star players at the right time. You go on your hot streak, great. It could also be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and I hate to say it like this too. Again, you look at what's going on down at the lower part of the playoff seeds between San Antonio, New Orleans, Phoenix, Portland, Memphis. You look at all those teams, all of them are fighting for their lives. So they're going to be going out 110% going into the playoffs, whereas the Lakers and the Clippers and even the Nuggets are sort of resting guys right now, just getting ready for go. Speaking of the Denver Nuggets, this is what we call in the business a segue. The Jazz and the Nuggets had a barn burner 134-132 victory for the Denver Nuggets, led by Nikola Jokic, 30 points, 11 boards, 7 assists. Donovan Mitchell led Utah, 35 points, 6 boards, 8 assists. There's not much to say about these two teams. I have Gary Aid, who from the NBA show, who we do a lot of work with, is so high on the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not sitting there downplaying on how good of a team that they are. They're a great team. But there's just something, maybe just not flashy about them that just doesn't do anything for me with it. But I also think that the Denver Nuggets are missing a closer. You don't want your starting center to be your closer. It just doesn't. It's not a recipe for disaster. The Utah Jazz, on the other hand, look, they are a good team. They were picked to go into the Western Conference earlier in the year, right before the season started because of the unknown of the Western Conference. The Jazz, listen, I hate to say it, nobody really wants to voluntarily go play in Utah. There's nothing going on out there. I always think they're going to have a hard time finding that closer like they did with Stockton and Malone. I still feel that's a team that hasn't even got over losing them yet. You know what I mean? Like they have not had that success. They've had some success with Darren Williams. They made the second round of playoffs a couple times, but I never feel like the Jazz are that team to take you to that next level. And to that point, I think that both of these teams might be seeing a first or second round exit.
Yeah, I think that's, to your earlier point, like you were saying, that the Denver Nuggets aren't very flashy. Aside from Jokic, who do they really have that is, when you think of the Nuggets, who you really think of? They don't really have any of those big name star players that your mind will typically gravitate towards, right? They don't have someone like a James Harden, or even on the Celtics, a Jason Tatum, or on the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, and so I think that is where the flashiness that you talk about, Randy, comes into play with the Nuggets.
And with basketball, though, it doesn't need to be flashy. And I get that.
I agree.
I'm a very I'm a very fundamental guy. I'm a very big with fundamental. You want to be able to Work your way for the easiest points you can get. You want layups, not 3-pointers. But of course, we come to a flashy league, so I'm saying I want more flash. But at the same time, what I'm talking about that is, you look at this Utah team. You look at this Utah team, and I'm looking at their Donovan Mitchell, 12 of 33 from the field. Mike Conley, 8 of 19 from the field. Gobert is 9 of 16, and he's not taking 3-point shots. But the 12 of 33 for Donovan Mitchell, 5 of 16 from the 3-point line, 3 of 11 for Conley from the 3-point line. We talk about the flash. I'm sorry, and that's Utah. That's not even talking about the flash of the Nuggets. But that's just going back to what I was saying about Utah. Look, there's work for the easiest shot available, and there's just something that they're not doing with that. And there's no reason why your shooting guard in Utah, Inglis, has 13 assists. That's a no-go. Your point guard's has to be the one who's dishing that out. From the Nuggets standpoint, Murray was 10 for 25 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3-point line. Jokovic, 11 of 21 and 2 for 6 from. I don't want my center shooting 3-pointers. This is why I want to punch Joel Embiid in the face half the time. You're 7 foot tall. Go to the basket. It drives me bonkers and insane. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was my rant of the day. We just got it out of the system. Either way, both of those teams will be out in the second round, so I'm not too worried about that. Anyway, so the next game on the bubble from last night. All right, this is where you and I are going to start arguing with each other, and that's okay, because I sometimes have to be a LeBron apologist, but I also have to be a LeBron hater at the same time. The Indiana Pacers beat the Los Angeles Lakers 116-111. Yeah, TJ Warren is the bubble MVP. He puts in another stellar game for the Pacers, 39 points, 5 boards, 1 assist. Notice that I made sure I made the comment about the 1 assist. Jared, talk to me about the Lakers. Talk to me about the Pacers. What's going on here?
You know, we've been seeing a lot of upsets in the bubble so far. I mean, we've been seeing the Bucks lose. We've been seeing the Raptors just lost to the Celtics. You know, people have been high on the Heat. They haven't been doing too hot. But honestly, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, where, you know, their guys have some load management. They're not playing necessarily their full minutes. So I think that's going to take a big factor. I think also, you know, teams are still trying to adjust. I understand this is their job. This is their livelihood. This is what they do for their career. But going to a bubble like this, even if it's only been a week, still takes time to adjust. Obviously, you mentioned it, TJ Warren has been an absolute animal. He has been off the charts. He's been shooting a 60.5% from the field, 55.6 from 3. He is out of this world right now. And it's no fault to the Lakers. They played a fine game. It's just TJ Warren has been unstoppable.
And not only that, but listen to the stat line. 15 of 22 from the field, 5 for 8 for 3-point line, perfect from the foul line. From the Lakers side, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, LeBron had 31 and Davis probably didn't play. No, both Davis and James played 35 minutes. This is going back to the argument that I've been having with everybody. I've been shouting it from the rooftops, and everyone seems to want to argue with me, and that's okay. Feel free to argue with me, everyone. I'm okay with this. The lack of backcourt help for this Lakers team, everyone's like, the Lakers are going to be fine when they get into the playoffs. Listen, the Lakers had a hot start. They winded off in the middle a little bit, and then they had a strong right before the shutdown. They were playing okay. Obviously, the loss of Kobe hurt the franchise as a whole, and I understand that. This Lakers team is flawed, and this Lakers, I think there are 2 or 3 better teams in this conference than the Lakers. And I have to tell you, if the Lakers play the Portland Trailblazers in the first round of the playoffs, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard is going to give that team fits and may even knock them out in an upset. Now, please do not quote me on sitting there saying, hey, the Trailblazers, Randy says the Trailblazers are going to knock out the Lakers. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they're going to give them a lot of trouble. And I think there's a lot of issues that the Lakers have to deal with during the offseason. And one is to boast in their backcourt, because their backcourt is an absolute mess. There's no Rajon Rondo. You don't really have a point guard. Avery Bradley's decided to sit out the bubble return. So LeBron is your point guard. Not that that's a bad thing, but when Anthony Davis is only putting 8 points in, my question to you, Jared, and this is just my strategy, wouldn't you try to do what you can to get the ball out of LeBron's hands and just let Anthony Davis try and beat you? Because if Anthony Davis scores 50, where are the other points coming from if you're trying to sort of double down on LeBron?
No, I think that's a very valid strategy. If you can take out a team's leading scorer, right? If you can take away that aspect of a team, you're essentially playing 4-on-5 at that point. And so, yeah, you're going to be double teaming that person all night. You're going to be getting up in their face. You're going to be stopping those shots, which is clutch. So if you keep somebody who's typically averaging, let's say even 25 points a night, right, and you can keep them down to 10 points that game, that is going to be so beneficial in the long run. And I've said this about almost any sport in the past. If you focus on what is, if like I said, if you have two guys on one team averaging 25 points and you could stop one of that, you're going to be looking in a lot better shape. And yeah. I'm gonna go off topic a little bit here, and I'm gonna relate it back to the Patriots and Falcons Super Bowl. I was at my buddy's house and we were watching the game. And come halftime, they're asking me, what do the Patriots need to do? What do the Patriots need to do? The one thing that was killing the Patriots, and it kills them almost every year, was Atlanta's run game at the time. Atlanta's run game was absolutely crushing us. And I said, they just need to focus on stopping the run. Our defense is good enough to break up passes, and to keep up with that. If we stop the run, we're golden. And lo and behold, the second half comes out, they focus on stopping the run, and then we witness the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. And so, like you said, if Anthony Davis is putting up 30, 40, however many points in a game, but you're stopping LeBron or whoever the highest other scorer on the floor is that night, there should be no problem in beating the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree. And in a semblance of time here, let's move through the rest of the NBA. You talked about how the Miami Heat are struggling a little bit, lost again to one of the hottest bubble teams in the league, Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. Just a quick summarize here about the Phoenix Suns. Look, young team, young coach. Love the enthusiasm. I'm just trying to figure out where they're going from here. And the Miami Heat, in my opinion, I'm going to let you have the floor in a second. The Miami Heat is one of these teams where they really played above their expectation level in the first half of the season. And I feel like everybody's sort of coming back down to where they really are. I've always thought them to be a lower level to mid-level playoff team. First round, maybe second round if they can get the right matchup. Jimmy Butler playing above and beyond his expectation level. What is your take on both of these teams?
I really like the Phoenix Suns right now. Devin Booker has just been absolutely essential, and especially with that clutch shot over the Paul George and the Clippers the other night. He's just been absolutely outstanding. He's been consistent, and if you've listened to me on the Zero Technique podcast, consistency is one of the things that I very much value when it comes to athletes. If you are consistent and you are consistently good, that is something I value higher than being flashy. And Devin Booker has just consistently, since this bubble started, he's been a solid scorer. He's been a solid player for that Suns team. And I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly with the Heat. They were going above and beyond their expectations at the beginning of the season, and then now they're starting to sink back to reality. But I do agree about Jimmy Butler. He's I guess an anomaly, we'll say. He goes above and beyond for his team. And I remember when he was on the Timberwolves and there was, the trouble between him and Cat, and Jimmy Butler said, listen, you could take all the first string players and I will take all the third string players, and we could have a scrimmage and see who's better. And Jimmy Butler and their team ended up winning. And it's because Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, and people might disagree with me or not, he is the type of player that elevates the game of the players around him.
Listen, I agree. Real quick, the reason why we're doing this little makeshift show first thing in the morning here this morning is we wanted to give everybody a little taste of what the Back Sports page radio shows alike, me being off topic and all the other shows I host. Too many to list. Deep Six podcast and
The Hardwood Huddle.
Yeah, the Hardwood Huddle. Jared with the Trifecta and Zero Technique podcast. Feel free to keep going to backsportspage.com for all the programming that we do. So and there was only other game we had last night was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas upsetting the Bucks. Look, the Bucks have not looked good since we got into the bubble. Like again, we can just keep breaking down game by game. But a couple other topics. We only got a couple minutes left here because then I have to play Super Dad for a little while. So look, the Bucks. I think the team everyone has to watch out for in the Eastern Conference is still the Toronto Raptors. I know you're going to say you're Boston Celtics, but they have no big man. The Celtics have no big man. So for me, all they have to do is just keep going to the basket. Whereas Toronto, yes, no Kawhi Leonard, but they have great guard play and as well as beef in the middle between Pascal. They have Marc Gasol. They have Ibaka, they have guys in the middle, so they have an overall balance. Yes, there is no Kawhi Leonard, but they have a balance, and they have that, okay, you want to count us out attitude, we're going to come back and beat your butt. And they've been one of the hottest teams since bubble play has started. So I'm looking around and saying, what's a reasonable NBA Finals matchup? And if I had to say right now, I'd probably say Raptors-Clippers. That's my my general take on it.
That was actually my take months ago. It was Raptors Clippers for an NBA Finals. I do see an Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Raptors. I think it is going to be a good series. I think it's going to go 7 games, 6-7 games. Like you said it yourself, the Bucks haven't looked great. I mean, obviously, Game 1 back into the bubble, the Celtics lost to the Bucks, but that was. According to Twitter, according to a lot of people that watch the game, it was a controversial loss. I guess Giannis should have fouled out earlier, and they backtracked on it and kept him in the game. I didn't unfortunately get to watch it, so I didn't really get to see. But I agree. I think the Raptors are the team to watch out for.
Yeah, and let's quickly jump around sports a little bit. Well, actually, look, NFL training camp, you guys are taking care of that. I think it's been a little lackluster, especially with the amount of media coverage that we're allowed to have. So I can't really give you too much insight what's been going on with the Giants because there's really nothing going on. Because that's where I am with the Giants. There's been all the news has been very, very scarce and few and far between as far as the NFL is concerned. Look, the NHL has done it right as well. The bubble has worked for them. Major League Baseball is an absolute disaster. Your Red Sox are an absolute disaster.
I'm not a Red Sox fan right now.
Okay.
I'm mad at them. I am mad at them.
Listen, okay, but the fact of the matter is you say that you're a Red Sox fan. So,
right.
Okay, so no, you can't say I'm not a fan right now. You can say I'm mad at the team. I grew up a Nets fan. I got upset with the Nets moving to Brooklyn, and I felt that's fair to divorce them. So I made that decision very fair. So they're no longer in New Jersey. I have no more affiliation for them. So that's how it works. And that's not being fair weather or anything else.
No, I agree. I agree.
So look, I'm going to give Jared his props here before we sign off. But you guys should definitely check out the Trifecta. Jared does a great job of putting that show together with his cast of characters. You have Tommy Smith on there right now. Yep. You have Tyrone on there who's always done a great job. I'm not sure if you're still using LeBron or not.
He's going to be coming on from time to time. We're trying to do a healthy mix of rotation. So.
Okay, that's pretty good. And then we also have over off topic. I do a one-on-one interview show. So sometimes I usually try to go twice a month with it, minimum twice a month, usually max. I try to go every single week. The Hardwood Huddle, Bill and I usually get some great guests for basketball. Again, Shane Battier this week. We have some other ones coming up. We have Antonio Daniels coming on. We're trying to get Brian Scalabrine, but that fell through the cracks this morning.
Oh, man.
I love Scal. Scal's a good buddy of mine. The one name there's one or two names that we're trying to get without spoil. I'll spoil one. We are trying to get Glenn Rice, and wow. for me, Glenn Rice was like my childhood, like the sharp shooting Glenn Rice. It's like people don't realize when you're a New Jersey Nets fan growing up before Jason Kidd got there, you had the Nets who you rooted for during the regular season, and you picked another team to root for the playoffs because the Nets never made the playoffs. And then when all of a sudden they started making the playoffs, you're like, okay, it's cool to be a Nets fan. Awesome. So yeah. So Jared, let everybody know where they can find you.
So everyone can find me at journalist J0 on Twitter. You can find me at Jared Zero on Facebook. I'm not really on Instagram too much. You can find me on Spotify. You can find Randy on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, YouTube, all under Back Sports page. Like Randy said earlier, I'm on the Trifecta into the Zero Technique podcast with Ryan Stern. Randy's on the Hardwood Huddle, Off Topic, and a ton of other shows. We have the Exit Velo podcast, which is our go-to baseball podcast. So Ryan Truland has Ear to the Canvas. So you can check out all those under the Back Sports page label.
And to let everybody know what's coming soon, we're talking about putting a morning show together. That's a little ways off, but that where we Jared and I were discussing this morning. Of course, these conversations you just start with me saying, "Hey, we should put a morning show together," and, and that's how these things come together with us. It's not like, okay, we're gonna develop a morning show. It's, hey, we should do a morning show.
Yep.
What should we call it? I guess we can't have a morning show until we come up with a name, right? All right. So, and then also we have our first ever Back Sports Page all female podcast in works right now, and we're also coming up with some different ideas as just some different things. And I think, all joking aside, and I try to do my best, as you know, the ringleader of this circus, to give people like Jared the opportunity to spread their wings a little bit. And I think that to me is the most important thing. Is if you would have told Jared Jared would be hosting shows a year ago, I don't think Jared really would be like, no, I'm not.
If you told me, not even hosting shows, if you told me I'd be interviewing Bob Sosi of the Patriots, Mick Mixon for the Panthers, or Sony Michel at Gillette Stadium, I wouldn't believe you. I'd be like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is, dude, is that you're enjoying it. And look, we've all had things that we've all had to overcome, and we all had fights to battle. And you know, the fact of the matter is, we have this platform for us, even if there's the worst thing. Look, you know me, I had some pretty crazy things happen over the last year, but you're able to have this outlet to come in here and to forget about the world. And I think that's the most important thing. We do a great job. You guys do a great job. You guys make me look great with my decision making on who I'm putting out there. So thank you for that. And keep following the Back Sports Page show network for everything that we're doing. Like he said, we have too many shows for me to even keep up with. I realized yesterday we had a show on the air. I was like, oh, I didn't even know we had somebody on the air yesterday. Look at that. There's so many people going on. All joking aside, I know where everything's going on. What's your name again?
Right.
So, all right. So
hey, you over there, there.
I need one of those baseball guys. Which one? You know, the guy who talks baseball of it. Let's get him on the show.
Oh man! Imagine if it was that disorganized.
Yeah, right. The funny part is, I know what everybody's doing. Exactly. You know,
right.
That's the scary part. So, with that being said, check out Jared on backsportspage.com. Of course, myself, backsportspage.com. I'm Randy BSP on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you during the week, but we always like doing these little pop up out of nowhere shows. It's a lot of fun. Otherwise, we'll see you later.
We love you too, Ryan. Just let
Ryan. Ryan Stern. Oh,
he's having a baby soon, everybody. So
that's amazing that he is having a baby.
Yeah, it's finally getting his baby boy.
The physics of the situation is amazing. Well, all right, Ryan. Thanks, buddy.